Hello, how are you? It's John Scanlon here with the Irish Hypnotherapy Conference. And today we are talking to Stephen McGill. Stephen will be presenting at the conference and was also at last year's conference and has done a huge amount of work in the intervening period. Stephen, how are you?
I am unbelievable.
Excellent, excellent. It's 2 weeks to go to the conference, so
It's
it's
exciting.
really exciting now. Um, Stephen, for those who haven't met you before, and I'd say there's probably very few who haven't, but for those who have,
Uh,
do you want to just give a brief synopsis of Stephen McGill and who he is and what he does?
yeah, no problem. In 2007, just after the recession hit, or just before the recession hit, I started a web design company, marketing. Um, but I was building loads of websites for people. I had loads of customers coming in, putting it out there, but a lot of them kept coming back saying the website's brilliant. I don't have a problem with that, but no one's actually visiting me or taking any time to contact me or what can I do? So I had to sort of then venture into not just the web design, but then figure out marketing and how to get people to the website because it's fantastic having a website, but there's billions of them out there. Back then there wasn't as many, but still it was a struggle.
Hmm.
Um, so then I got into more of the psychology of marketing, how to get people to websites, and when they were there, how do we convert them? Then I started looking into. I was invited down to Dublin to work with Carl Anthony on his marketing for Irish hypnosis. Sorry, started working with him and qualified as a hypnotherapist myself. Wanted to know the background of what it was all about and knowing about the mind and very good experience with it. And but off the back of that, I then had a better understanding of what makes us tick as people, as what our drivers are. We're driven by emotion.
Hmm.
So then that incorporated into the web design. And then eventually that took over into doing more marketing full time. To date, now I've probably worked with close to 1,000 therapists,
Right, okay.
specifically hypnotherapists, but I can do all manner because they all sort of overlap with it. But yeah, it's been going from strength to strength. Still, I started up a new company, Thera Marketing for therapists. I also run Marketing Advice NI, where we give out free advice on marketing, and Globalize, which is a web design company. So yeah,
So you are a very busy man.
always.
Yeah,
But that's what else would you be doing?
absolutely, absolutely. Um, and in all the times that you've been dealing with therapists, is there
Mhm.
any key things that stand out to you?
I think I touched on this last year as well, but it's still relevant today that a lot of therapists are very good therapists, but then maybe fall short when it comes to self promotion and business acumen in terms of being able to comfortably talk about their services and what
Mhm.
problems they can solve. A lot of therapists, whenever they qualify and open up a business, it could be 80% of them is their first business.
Yes.
So they end up talking about what they do, who they are, what they've qualified as. Customer doesn't care. The customer doesn't care. The customer has a problem and they want to find the best person to solve their problem. So it's more re-educating people that now you've qualified or maybe been qualified for X amount of time. Stop focusing on your features and start putting across your benefits of why should you come see me versus what certificates have I got on the wall. Nobody cares.
Right. So it's what I can do for you rather than here's how good I am.
Yeah, it's an age-old question that we answer in marketing. What's in it for me? Why should I
Okay.
contact you? It's pain aversion. I talk about it in my trainings as well. But if you put someone in an fMRI and show them, uh, give them a bad purchasing decision, it'll light up the same part of the brain as physical pain. So
Oh,
that aversion to pain that we all look into, that's why reviews are so popular. So we all look at someone else's experience with that company, so we don't get burnt ourselves.
right. Okay. Okay. Wow. I didn't realize that about the fMRI machines. That's really fascinating. How to use fMRI. I've heard other uses for fMRI, in
Yeah,
particular food companies and what have you, but I didn't realize they did it for purchasing decisions as well. That's really fascinating.
yeah, well, it makes sense and this is all the reason why I got into hypnotherapy and learning about the mind. And I talk about it every day since
Yeah.
2007 with my customers, with all my clients. I even use it in industries that aren't connected to therapies at all. It's the same sort of psychology that doesn't change. We're all driven by emotion.
Yes.
So it's very little is impulse. So it's a different part of our brain that makes emotional decisions when we're buying something. And especially like with houses and cars, it's the two biggest decisions that we'll make in our life.
Yeah.
We don't do it quickly. You don't accidentally buy a house. Well, some
No.
people do, but
Or
very
accidentally
little.
buy a car unless you've got serious money behind you.
Yeah. And we all want to avoid that driving away from the car place, driving home and hearing it clicking. Then our heart sinks and we've lost the passion in that car, but we're stuck with it for the next 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So that's the part of the brain that lights up with physical pain.
Right. Okay. Um, that's really interesting, actually. I had no idea that that actually happened. There you go.
Yeah.
And what is it then that, so if for therapists, their primary, well, I suppose I'll tell you from my side of it, which is that from a
Sure.
primary perspective, a lot of therapists will go into business for this desire to help people. A lot of people will have been through that journey themselves. And when anyone trains as a hypnotherapist, they kind of peel back a
Yeah.
lot of the layers that exist around themselves. But it is a business. And I know I've said this on many occasions, and I suppose we're both saying the same thing. And I think you've used the example before of walking into Lidl or Aldi and saying, well, I'm a therapist, I give loads of free stuff, so therefore can I, it doesn't
Good.
work that
Yeah.
way.
Good luck.
Um, you know, and is that a common view? That's really extreme, but would you find that a lot of therapists don't have business, that they're not properly trained in business or realize the significance of it?
I would say comfortably they're either no experience in business or they're badly trained in the current state of business. And what I mean by that is they're more traditionalists. They're more, not everybody, there are some good people out there, but the majority definitely focus on old school methods that don't really apply anymore.
Okay.
It's not how we consume content anymore. Obviously, a lot of them are afraid of putting the wrong thing out there on social media. Um, but yeah, definitely, it's either a lack of training or a lack of training in the wrong path.
Gotcha. Okay. Of course, the world has radically transformed itself in the last 30 years with initially phones and then, the internet phones.
Yeah,
And now you see how the two of them are merged, and none of us can actually live without our phone for too long because we're wondering where it is. Um, and of course, that world is evolving so much. I mean, at last year's presentation, you introduced ChatGPT, and I think most people in the room were going like, "What in the love of God is this?" It was
yeah,
only about 6 months old at the time, publicly released, I should say.
yeah,
And for many, it was the first time they heard it.
yeah,
I mean, the pace of transformation right now, and I see a lot of the stuff that you do, in
yeah.
terms of the 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 new apps that are being released, that will help you with YouTube or will help you break down videos or all of those kind of things. How fast is that pace today?
It's such a good question because it's compounding
Right.
so much on top of each other. It's almost like it's not linear anymore. It's just compounding and compounding. And it once you release the first thing, that gives people inspiration to build so many more things on top
Okay.
of that. But it is getting to the stage, and it's partly what I will be talking about at the presentation, but it's the ways that you can use it. I don't think people have a lot of fear of AI will replace our jobs. I currently don't hold that too strongly. But what I will say is AI will replace people in the workplace that don't know how to use AI.
Okay.
So the
So,
people, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, it's going to be a tool that we
Yeah,
can use and
yeah,
for our benefit.
yeah, yeah. Because there's things like as part of Thera Marketing, part of Marketing Advice NI, we've also set up like a automations part of section of it where we'll go into a business, we'll look at their processes, we'll see how AI can save their workflows, save time, give them back time of menial tasks.
Okay.
So that's part of the thing. So we're not looking to replace people. We're looking to free them up more so they can focus more on helping people and then run their processes in the background that they would have typically done before.
Okay.
For
More?
example, yeah.
No, go on. Go on.
For example, say I was chatting to a client of mine on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So she's does a lot of YouTube videos. So the part in between that she hates is editing it, picking out the proper clips, putting
Yeah.
captions on it, uploading it to YouTube, putting the subtitles on it, then publishing it out everywhere. So we've automated that system now for her. So all she has to do is upload her recorded file into a Google Drive. That Google Drive will speak to ChatGPT, that will speak to another program, that will speak to Airtable, that will speak to another program,
Gotcha.
and then it all works in the background.
Okay.
Where it'll publish, it'll do everything for her. But that frees her up, that gives her an extra 30, 40 minutes back where she would have spent editing that time before.
Okay. So it's time free, but I suppose more to the point, answering, that very first question that you asked or that you raised, which is the client says, what can you do for me? What
Yeah.
does AI do, or what does all of the technology? Is it a case that people are just literally consuming stuff now on phones and internet, and that is the primary form of marketing these days?
I would say it's still 80% mobile that people are consuming, 20% desktop.
Okay.
From all the statistics, we work with a very large company, nearly a billion turnover per year, but thankfully we run their ads for them, so we have access to a lot of data, and they're spending thousands and thousands per month on advertising. So, but with that comes access to all the data and analytics of the way the current market is. And again, 80 to 90% are mobile. So they are consuming that. If you reverse engineer your customers of where are they, what are they doing, where do I need to be in front of them?
And that really, that's the key question.
Yeah.
Where are they, and what do I need to do to get to them? To let
Yeah.
them know about
And
me and how I can help.
yeah, and that's it. And traditionally, when I was teaching people about what we call it as an avatar, so that's basically creating an image of who your customer is, who your ideal customer is. Because if you don't know who you're targeting at, a lot of people make a mistake of I'm looking to speak to anybody who has anxiety. You're not looking to speak to anybody. You need to narrow it down
Yeah.
to what do they look like, what are their demographics, but also what are their psychographics, what are they like as a person, where do they hang out, who do they talk to, where do they go. It's building that avatar. So we take the clients through an avatar sheet, but also once we have that information, we can then feed that into AI, and then based on those answers, it can give us a better conversation that we can have with our clients to
Okay.
attract more people into their business for them.
So that's bringing them in through the technology route and also marketing to them through the technology route.
Yeah,
Is there still a space for beyond the technology? As
there
in,
always is.
there always is.
Sorry.
But would you find that it is getting smaller? That technology is the easiest way to reach people today, or is there
I
still that
will
thing of going to a meeting where there's an organized group of your demographics, for instance?
see that's always I have like a tiering system.
Yeah.
Referrals are always going to be first
Yeah.
because you've already bypassed that factor of are these people going to be good enough for me? It's like reading the reviews. If you tell me this person in Gory is amazing, you should go and see them for X. Well, I've already got a recommendation. You don't need to sell me on anything.
Right.
John said so, so that's good. So referrals will always be number one. Then networking, putting yourself into those positions where you can talk face to face will be number two, and then digital world for me is third
Okay.
because you can speak to one to many. We've put out advertisements for the conference, for example, and it's gone to nearly 250,000 people
Right. Okay.
that we just physically can't do ourselves
You
in
can't reach
person.
yourselves, yeah. So it's an
No.
awareness that's been created about it. And actually I can see it that the digital world can allow you access to networks because suddenly people know who you are. Just something that's popped into head here, and it's
Yeah.
not something I hadn't thought of up to now. But so the referrals being those, those people that you've dealt with and they're happy and they've gone off and they're recommending you. How do you recommend keeping it, or do you recommend keeping in contact with them?
Yeah.
Keep letting them know the upgrades and the stuff you're doing. What would your advice be on that?
Well, part of the training that I used to give for qualifying hypnotherapists was to, whenever the session ends, right there and then, that's the best time to ask for a referral because
Okay.
they're feeling the highest. So putting that out there on Google My Business and whatever platform you're on, that attracts that they're essentially referrals, but that is digital world. But if you go home then and incentivize them to tell other people, but not only that, once you touch base with them, follow-ups with it, you can put them in the email sequences or you can follow up with them after. But it's more, then you discover, as everybody knows, people like onions. So I've been focusing on this problem for X amount of years. It's been crippling. You've just taken it away from me. But 2 weeks later, now that that's gone, my mind's not thinking about that anymore. But I've also discovered this new problem.
Yeah, there's
So
something
now,
else underneath that, and something else underneath that, and something else. Okay.
yeah. And a lot of therapists are afraid to go back to that client and ask how they're getting on because
Yeah.
of the fear of something might have went wrong. But that's the best opportunity to it because then you can fix your problem
Yeah.
first, and then you build up a better rapport with the customer, and they'll come back and refer you to all the people.
Yeah, I actually remember, I think it was Casrelli I was talking to, where she spoke about how people would normally be, a couple of sessions, whatever that limit was, but that they would come back on a continuous basis. And the conversation literally was, if I remember it correctly, that she had a client in with her one day who would said, well, that's it, and the client was like, no, I'll see you soon. And she's like, no, 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 it's all done. No, but I'll see you soon. And she's like, no. And she's like, okay. I think, and Kaz, forgive me if I get it wrong, but it was a bit like, Kaz, I go see the dentist to get my teeth checked. I go to see the
Yeah,
doctor to get my physical health checked. I get my hair done once a month. Why can't I get my mental health checked? So it
yeah,
became that referral type process. And it's a way of actually, I suppose the real question behind it is, how do you keep in touch with somebody like that?
yeah. I think you shouldn't overthink it. I think there's nothing wrong with, as long as you're not salesy and in a sales manner, just reaching out to them on whatever medium. Is it email, or is it WhatsApp, is it through Messenger, whatever way you kept in contact with them? Just say, reaching out saying, I'm just curious how you're getting on.
Right.
You don't have to be salesy with it, but you're bringing your business back up to their brain again. You're in their awareness, thinking,
Or
oh
you
yeah,
could do
now I'm
stuff like
getting
a
in.
blog or something that would go out by email once a month that might just keep them updated on some other lifestyle aspect that they may or
Yeah,
may not be interested in. Okay.
100%. And it's also that when people go home, they go back into their busy lives,
Hmm.
so they're not thinking about you as much as you
Right.
think that they are. And then 2 weeks later, they might have completely forgotten because now they're not focused on that problem anymore. But if you remind them, they might not need your help, but someone else they know in their circle might need it. And again, that's what I said. There's nothing better than a personal referral because you're putting your own reputation, recommending someone else on the line.
Yes. Yeah.
If I if I go to that person that you recommended me in Gory and they're crap, I'm not gonna trust your opinion again
Yeah.
as strongly as I would have before.
Yeah. I understand. I understand. Um, yeah, that's really interesting. Now you've just, because it's that funnel of the digital world leads you into a networking world, which leads you into a client referral world, and then just that continuous. Um, so it's, I think sometimes when people think about it, they think of the digital world as the be all and end all, but it's not actually. It's only the first stage in reaching a whole lot of new, but it's also letting people know about you and what you can do and how you can help
Yeah,
to solve their problems. And I see since the conference, a lot of videos where people would actually be just describing, well, here's how I can help you on this, here's how I can help you on that, here's how I can help you on. Um,
but that's again that's about the therapist. That doesn't work
okay,
because in sales, you're never really selling anything. You're more solving their problems.
right.
So if I'm talking about, I can do your SQL, I can do your WordPress, I can do your it doesn't matter. It's, you don't know any of that vernacular, so it's I have to approach it of, what's your biggest problem? What are you struggling with most in your business today, John? as a therapist, what are you struggling with the most? And then you'll tell me, and then I'll have to analyze that back of what, and then go to my toolbox and pick out a tool and say, well, this will
That
help you,
works with that.
rather than me giving you a catalog of what I can do first. You
Yeah.
don't know which one of those tools can help. And it's the same, the therapists have to think the same thing. If someone comes presenting with a problem, 90% of the time, it's not actually the problem. There's other
Right.
reasons for that
Right.
as well. So if you give them a smorgasbord of all these different services that you can provide, they don't know. There's loads of different modalities out there. Which
There
one is
is, yeah.
correct?
And
They don't know, but you have to put,
I'm getting that analogy
yeah, you
quite
just have to
clearly.
communicate across.
Yeah, no, I'm getting that analogy quite clearly.
Yeah,
If somebody comes in, I mean, there's very few sessions that are the same. It's just, I always regard a lot of hypnotherapy like almost like Lego pieces, that there's tools, techniques we learn, and we just pull in the ones that are relevant for that client. That there's never a formalized process, because the client is not a standard person. They are they're unique. They are who they are.
yeah,
So the same applies in the marketing sense. So what you're doing is reverse
yeah,
engineering that process.
yeah. Yeah, you're first of all creating your avatar. You're figuring out the pain points. You're putting it across how you can solve that problem that they have. You're asking them what problems do they do have, and you can sometimes do that directly. Just straight out ask them
Hmm.
on a social media post or on a blog or whatever. So it's getting that feedback first, and then you could tailor what your message is back to them,
Back to them.
rather than I do quit smoking, weight loss, fear, phobia, anxiety, bruxism. Who cares? Just tell me how you could fix my problem.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I think that's something that I think all of us could do with understanding a little more about, to be fair, because I mean, the general protocol, as you said, is more to say, right, well, I work with anxiety, so therefore, if you are anxious, come see me, for want of a better term. And
Yeah,
that's a very simplified way of saying it, but um, it's about reframing that message. Am I right? It's about
yeah.
reframing it
It's
so it's not
KYC. Know
you.
your customer. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's a term, KYC. Know your customer.
Okay.
So you have to know the language that they would use, of because a lot of people will mistake anxiety for different things, or they'll mistake depression for different things. So they'll mistake, but you're putting across different language that they'll resonate with, and thinking outside the box, and not just being stuck in your protocols that you have.
Yeah. Yeah, and they include your marketing protocols, not just your session protocols that you use. It's your marketing protocols as well as what we're specifically talking about here. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, without clients, then hypnotherapists don't exist in as a business.
No, and
It's
that's it too. Yeah, definitely.
I mean that's
It's very, very common, and
I'm
there's a bit of a
I'm
lag just
stopped.
type, but you're grand, you're grand. It's one of the things that we talked about at the very, very start as well. It's the fear of putting themselves out there. But if you don't, then how do people know you exist? And how do people know that you're the problem solver of
Yeah,
their problems, that you're the specialist of it? So it's getting over that. And I do joke about it, but if you are fearful about doing videos as a therapist, you should see a therapist.
yeah, understand.
You could get over that fear,
Yeah,
just getting on camera. What's stopping you? It's
absolutely.
the fear of failure, or it's the fear of success, or it's something there that needs addressed.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Fear of being judged. Um,
Mm.
yeah, it's that is so on you're talking on Sunday morning. What is the topic? Do you want to remind people?
Yes. The, the topic will be very interesting. It's basically something that I haven't really publicly talked about before, but it's integrating artificial intelligence into paid advertising and the tools, and what does that look like? It's increasing the effectiveness of your marketing, because what I touched on, that you're freeing yourself up more to do the therapy and to do the relationship building with people, and using AI tools to accompany your personal tools as well. So not to take over, but as a tool for it. And for paid advertising, a lot of people neglect, but I think it's the most underused at the minute tool that we have access to.
Why do you say that?
Because organically, people are posting for the sake of posting. They're not thinking about their message they're putting out there. And it goes through the algorithms of each different platform to a certain smaller percentage to benchmark how valuable that post is.
Right.
If people are reacting to it, it'll get pushed further. If they're not, it'll die. But
Okay.
I think a lot of people need to also understand that we have to pay to play as well, the same way it was 20, 30 years ago when we used to have the yellow pages or
Mm-hmm.
golden pages. The same way we had newspapers, the same way they weren't free.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We've been spoiled for too long with the organic algorithm. I think a good campaign organically can work really, really well, but a lot of people think organic's dead because of the content that they're putting out there. But if you put money behind it, there is a bigger emphasis on getting the right person to see it at the right time,
Okay.
which then will massively increase the percentage likelihood that they'll be in touch with you.
Okay.
Because you can choose so many different things, so many different options whenever you're promoting something, of what time it goes out, who it goes out to, what location it goes out to, not just hoping for the best when you put it out organically. We'll touch on different platforms like Google ads, like Facebook ads, like TikTok ads, all of the above.
Okay. So ultimately this is about driving clients into your office. That's ultimately what this is about. So it doesn't matter whether you're actually a hypnotherapist or whether you're any type of therapist. This is ultimately about the same principles apply. Here's how I can help solve your problem.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all we as consumers want to hear.
Yes.
That's all we as business owners should be saying.
So no matter what type of therapist you are,
yeah,
this
all
message
therapies.
is really relevant too. But obviously this is a hypnotherapy conference. It will be primarily hypnotherapists, but not necessarily completely hypnotherapists. So it's everybody is welcome. Anyone who's in the therapy field has any type of interest in marketing or in any type of even understanding hypnosis more, because it's a really valuable tool. I think I've said it before, you know, if you can understand conversational hypnosis or even the use of metaphor, and, you know, you are dealing with a client, you can help improve the outcome for them by the use of the powerful words that hypnosis can actually show people.
Just before you jump on, but one of our most successful ad campaigns that we've been running for about 6 or 7 years, the first line is just close your eyes and imagine how good it would feel to not have that anxiety anymore. That's in our copy in the ad. So you're using your hypnotic language, you're using your NLP, you're future pacing them, you're doing all these things, and it works so well, it converts so well. Just close your eyes and imagine a world without.
And actually, I mean, NLP has been used in business for so long at this stage.
Of course.
Every
Before it was called NLP.
Absolutely. Yeah, every salesperson in the world, I think, has probably been trained at it at this stage. And I mean, you know, the language patterns all came from Erickson anyway, which was hypnosis. So,
yeah,
you know, it's people think that, you know, hypnosis is something different, but actually it's everyday language. We're all exposed to it every single day. Including
but also it's one of the things that I actively have to convince people against as well, that therapists and business owners will use the opposite of what they know. Like, why not call us on 086? Well, you've just told them a negative.
Yeah.
So don't be doing that.
Yeah. Focus on what you actually want.
Yes.
Rather than on what you don't want.
So basically, in a sense, the principles that they know as a therapist should be translated across to their marketing, and not thrown out the window as soon as they go to market.
Yeah, no, that's a really good piece of advice. That's a really good piece of advice. In the last 12 months, how you've developed Thera Marketing in that because Thera Marketing itself didn't exist at that point in time.
No.
So in obviously with technology as it's advanced, but for those who've seen you last year and those who've seen you this year, would there be anything that you'd say to them that would, of how the world has changed in that intervening period of time and how their message probably needs to change?
In the past 12 months, well, I think the reason why Thera Marketing exists now is because it's a lot more acceptable for therapists to embrace
Okay.
large language models and AI. It's a lot more for the world to embrace it and accept it. So I think rather than rejecting it, we need to be communicating across how to use it to our advantage more so. The landscape in the past 12 years has massively changed in terms of the things that I was showing people at the conference last year are almost basic now,
Right.
which is crazy to think about. Crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy to think about because I think that blew everybody's mind last year, and then suddenly,
Yeah,
when you did a presentation, a week or two after the conference, and you
that's
went
right.
into detail of all that, and even the one you did in January again was like was another level. So I mean, we're moving so fast, and there is that whole thing about getting in on the ground floor of taking this while it's still young. And some people
Yeah,
will wait for that to be proven. I tend to like the biohacking principle that, hey, if it works,
yeah.
let's just integrate it in as it stands now.
Well, at the end of the day, you have to remind yourself that marketing and sales and business acumens, that they're all there to help you help more people. That's it, and the earning money is a really good side effect of it
Yeah, no,
because
absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
more money you earn, the more availability you will have to help more people.
Yeah.
If you're struggling as a therapist with income and you can't put money towards this or can't put money towards that, you're probably not going to reach as many people as you want to physically help.
But this kind of platform can also allow you to have the audios, the courses, the programs, the stuff that can maybe even reach more people beyond who you can actually see either on Zoom in a one-to-one or in an office.
Yeah, yeah, because there's technology available now where you can create as many MP3s as you want and sell to people all around the world while you're sleeping.
Yeah. And I mean, what that does is allow you to be a therapist and reach more people
Correct.
to help people just improve their lives and improve their own in the process. And there's
Yeah,
not,
that's it. It's the access to the software we have now is just unparalleled. We can put out courses, we can put out landing pages, we can put out email sequences, we can put out all these things, set them up automatically. So they're all run on automation and you just focus on helping people and the business will do its part along in tandem.
that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the conference, there's 20 presentations over the 2 days, and I know it's 2 weeks. It's Friday. We're recording this on the 5th, but it's starts on the Friday night. There's 3 or 4 of those presentations are business, and that's deliberate, and that's deliberate actually
Mm-hmm.
exactly for this reason that this conversation is because we are business people. I mean, I've been a business person all my life, but we are business people, and without business, we
Yeah,
can't survive. I love hypnotherapy. I love helping people, but without clients, I'm not in the position to do that. And yes, they'll come through referrals. Yes, they'll come, but there's also that awareness of how marketing, and particularly in the world we live in today, which is social media marketing through Facebook, through Google, through whatever, allows us access to help more people. Because ultimately that's where we're looking.
100%. For
Um,
sure.
so for anyone who is
Yeah,
thinking about it,
that's it.
there is Stephen, and there's other presentations on business over that weekend. And it's an important aspect. It's not something we focus on a whole lot, but 20% of the presentations will be on business, and they're an important part of what we do. Stephen, any final words?
Yeah. No, I'm just super excited. I'll be there Friday afternoon until Sunday evening. So I can chat to anybody before, during, or after
Great.
to say hello.
Absolutely. And Stephen and all the
Thank
other
you very much.
it's the one thing about last year's, and I know it's the same from talking to each and every one of them, and from other conferences I've been at. People love to just talk, and the
Yeah,
presenter will be there. So if you've got questions, whether you want to see their presentation and you just haven't seen it yet because they haven't been on, or whether they've been on, just go talk to them. You know,
yeah.
just be respectful. That's the only thing. Just acknowledge their time. But just so listen, thank you very much, Stephen. That was
Thank you.
and I will see you in 2 weeks' time.
I shall speak to them. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you then.
Welcome. And to everyone else, thank you for listening. And for those of you who we will be seeing in Dublin on the Clayton Hotel in the 20th and 21st of April, actually on the 19th, for anyone who is coming to Kate Bevan Marks's Hypno Games, it's going to be an amazing weekend. It's open to all hypnotherapists and any therapist who has an interest in either hypnosis or the business side of therapy. And the website link is below this for anyone. So have a wonderful day wherever you are and wherever you're doing. And we will see you in Dublin on the 20th of April. Thank you so much.